And welcome to episode 34 of UFC Addicts. My name is Aaron, and as always, I'm here with my co-host Leyton, and we are here to break down UFC 238 from Chicago, Illinois, the United Center, between Henry Cejudo and Marlon Moraes. This is for the bantamweight title. The flyweight champ is coming up to take on the interim. I don't know if this is an interim or what this is now. I believe TJ's been stripped, so I guess it's just for the bantamweight title. And also on the card is the co-main event for the flyweight title between Shevchenko and the real co-main event between Cerrone and Tony Ferguson. As always, I'm here with my co-host Lynn. What up, buddy?
What up? Okay, so Sweden. You look at the main event, quite a shocking end to that fight. I did not envision Anthony Smith subbing Gustafsson. You know, the way he quit was quite shocking, but, you know, credit to Anthony Smith. You know, Gus shot for the takedown in the fourth round. He had a good end to the third round, but he shot for the takedown and pretty much quit from there because he didn't get the takedown. Jimmy Manuwa, what can you say there? You know, what was it, like 35 seconds?
Oof, something like that. But when he gets knocked out, he gets deaded. Mm-hmm. So, Bella, if you are listening, we're sorry that happened. So, I won't say any more about it from there. But Gustafsson, it was shocking, but also it was the big X factor a lot of people were pointing out before the fight was if it's a question of who's hungrier, I don't think anybody is picking Gustafsson over Smith in this fight. Mm-hmm. And that's not the only thing that fights come down to, but it is, I think, the big difference in this fight. The championship rounds exposed that hunger in one fighter, and I believe it was Gustafsson's second straight loss in Sweden.
Mm-hmm. He beat Glover after he lost to Anthony Johnson.
Man, okay, fair enough. But, I was surprised when he retired after the fight, and I wasn't. I think that second fight against Jones really took pretty much all the wind out of his sails. He's never going to be a guy who moves up to heavyweight, and I think has a chance up there just because, unfortunately, I got in an argument with a lot of people before the fight about his power, but, I mean, his power wasn't there. Smith was rocking him with shots. Mm-hmm. He was not rocking Smith with his shots. In the third round, his movement was starting to work, but none of those shots were really scaring me for Smith, I guess. So I think that those were the two differences. Props to Smith having the sneaky submission when he's had 12 in his career and submitted Volkanovski in his last fight. But, regardless, it was not finish I anticipated. I picked Gustafsson. It's second straight main event where I picked him. This one was a little more justified.
Yeah, for real.
So, but either way, it was a card where we got to hire Nick Hine, who got absolutely brutalized in that fight against Camacho. So props to you for picking that one right. Mm-hmm. And also then Manuwa and Gustafsson, and I don't see any of those three guys coming back either. I think Gustafsson is done. Hindsight's 20/20, but he kind of looks soft in there. He didn't look in his best shape ever, and that could have contributed to quitting. But either way, we got a great card here from the United Center in Chicago. So, card I was supposed to go to, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, I won't be making it there, but I will be checking out live for sure. So, anything else you want to say before we hop into the card here?
I will say, before everyone goes ahead and listens to our predictions, my last two most confident picks have been Megan Anderson and Hadzovic. So, when you hear my most confident pick on this card, maybe fade it or just bet against it. That's all I want to say.
All right, interesting advice there, but I can understand where you're coming from. I'm back to my form, unfortunately, on main events. I believe I've gotten 4 straight wrong, so
I'm with you.
Watch out to whoever I pick in this main event. here tonight because you may want to fade that as well. So that's our advice before you come and listen to our predictions tonight.
Or maybe we just get back on track. Maybe
exactly.
That's likely.
I think that is more likely, but either way, let's jump in at 125 here between Joanne Calderwood and that Kia woman herself, Caitlin Chookagian. I'll spare my Kias for now, but I can't make any promises for later. I'll be breaking down Jo Calderwood. She is 13-3 now, 5 TKOs, and that one submission she got in her 125 debut. She's 2-0 at 125. She's a good kickboxer who seems to have gotten over her a little bit of an issue of lacking aggression with regards to her stand-up, so especially since moving up to 125. She looked really good in her debut, as I said, getting a triangle off her back. She'd had some struggles with the weight cut at 115, so definitely getting up to flyweight's been really helpful for her. She had kind of a brawler in Ariana Lipsicki in her last fight, which I picked against her, and she basically outmaneuvered and outfought her in every aspect of the game, made her look like she didn't belong in there. Calderwood made Lipsicki look that way. So I honestly look for Calderwood to continue to show her ability to mix up a fight and maybe look for some takedowns and to implement a little bit of ground and pound in this fight as opposed to keeping it expressly a kickboxing fight. I think Calderwood has more ways to win, and she's in a groove right now. So I'm going to take Calderwood to get the decision win and possibly move into that number one contender spot for the next shot after whoever wins between I and Shevchenko.
Nice. Okay, so Caitlin Chookagian comes into this fight 4-2 inside the UFC. There's really not a lot to say about Chookagian. Her movement is very decent. She does a lot of that yapping that you said in the intro. She pretty much looks to keep distance and use her kicks. Like you said, Calderwood has been very decent recently. I did take her against Lipsky, where she was a decent underdog at like plus 170. Yep. But yeah, this is a weird fight to predict because even when Chookagian has a good performance, it's still like a close decision for her. I saw her fight live in North Carolina, which she was against Barella. Yeah. Really decent performance. I think that's the most clear victory she's had in the octagon. Other than that, even when she's doing decent, it's because of her style. It's a close decision.
She strikes on the back foot a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So, even when she's having a good performance, what are the judges seeing when she's in the octagon? I pretty much agree with you. Calderwood does have more tools to win. And I'd expect her to be a stronger grappler here, to be honest. I know Chookagian is a decent size for 125, but Calderwood is more well-rounded for me. So, perfect agreement. I'll take a decision for Jojo.
Yeah, it's interesting with this division that you can go from fighting in the first fight to fighting in at least a co-main event in your next fight, potentially.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean,
it's an important fight.
This fight wins gets a title shot next, right?
I'd say so.
Unless the unexpected happens.
Mm-hmm.
Co-main event.
Yeah.
Which
that'd be crazy.
Sure. I'm still not sure what happens from there. I'm not sure Shevchenko has that kind of clout to get an immediate rematch if that were to happen.
Surely.
But I assume this is the number one contender fight at 125?
I'd say so. It's an important one.
So it's the first fight of the night. Just bizarre. That is not how you get people to start respecting a division, I think, is by putting it behind Gregory Popov and Eddie Wineland and Bevan Lewis and Darren. Yeah, just my opinion. No one asked for it, though. But you're listening to this, so you get it. So the odds, unless you have anything else to say, did you pick decision for Calderwood as well?
Yeah, decision. Okay. And most likely a close one.
Yeah, it's close. It's minus 115 each way.
Yeah, I mean, that's spot on, really, because that is a really, really tough fight to break down and pick. For either side, you can make cases, but That's a close one on paper.
Who was Chookagian's last fight against?
Jessica I believe.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
so
if she won that fight,
coming off a way tougher last opponent based on their performances in the octagon, at least.
yeah, and that was a split loss. If she won that, she'd be fighting Valentina.
Yeah, who doesn't Jessica I split, though? I mean,
True.
she loves her splits. So we'll go on to the next fight here unless you got anything else to say.
Nope, let's move.
Okay, we're going on to Gregory Popov versus Eddie Wineland. I will be breaking on Mr. Gregory Popov. He is making his UFC debut at this is at 135, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and he's making his making his debut here. Last fight was in October of last year. He's fighting out of Tiger Muay Thai. He is 14-2 overall. He's on a 10-fight win streak. He's got a variety of finishes. He's got a couple gogopladas in there. He's fought some pretty good competition in his last 5, and even beyond. Well, his last few, he's fought some. Actually, no, he hasn't fought good competition in his last 4 at all. He's 4-2, 5-6, 0-0, 3-2, 4-4 coming into his debut against Eddie Wineland, who is 23-13. I get Wineland's been under had a little bit of some issues lately, but either way, the level of opponents, which I've never heard of any of these guys who Popov has faced, so it's pretty hard to tell how he's going to respond to his first fight against a guy of any real merit. Whenever he's fought a guy with a decent record, he's lost. He lost to a 5-1 guy, and he lost to a 15-4 guy, both of which I've never heard of. But the rest of his wins are against guys who have no more than 5 wins. So, it was tough to find some tape on him. I'm just going to go with Wineland based on experience.
Fair pick.
Yeah, I just think this guy hasn't fought anybody with nearly 30 fights, and Wineland has nearly 10 fights, I believe, in the UFC. He's struggling lately, but they're similar age guys. I think this is the kind of guy who they give to a veteran who they want to keep around a little bit longer, maybe. So, because I can't see them looking to build off either one of these guys too much, with them both being in their mid-30s in this division. So I would think that they set this up giving Wineland a little bit of a favor to get one more win before they put him against some guy who they want to start raising up a little bit. So it's kind of a non-scientific pick here, but I'm going to take Wineland, and I'll take him to get a TKO in the second round.
Nice. Okay, so Eddie Wineland, 5 wins, 7 losses inside the UFC. He's a hard hitter for 135. Very decent takedown defense. We pretty much know about Eddie Wineland. He's going to walk forward pretty much the whole time and look for a TKO. Gregory Popov, mid-30s, like you said, making his debut. Muay Thai kickboxer. Your reasoning for your pick makes sense, to be honest. But I think if Eddie Wineland, comes the same way he's always come and doesn't look to mix it up too much, it could be a very close fight. Gregory Popov is a decent Muay Thai kickboxer, so I do see him scoring. So if it goes to distance, it could be a very close one. So I see, 2 sides really to the fight. If Eddie Wineland comes with a good game plan, then maybe. But I'll take the newcomer. I'll take Gregory Popov to win a very close decision.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I mean, if you do look at Wineland's last, few wins, they have been by finish. He hasn't had a decision win going back to Brad Pickett in 2012, and that was a split decision win. Before that, since then, he's been finished 6 of 9 bouts. So he has he has been able to be out game planned in his last two by Dodson and Perez, but this is quite a step down in competition for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's fought pretty well-known guys here for a little bit, but he's also been out for a little while. So he's been out since July of last year, so it's going to be nearly a year off. So Wineland loses this fight, he's got nowhere else to go, though, I would think.
Yeah.
The UFC. So we're going to disagree there. Go to the odds, and they are slightly with Eddie Wineland. That makes sense. Minus 135, plus 105, so nearly even for Grigori coming back.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, he has a lot of experience, Eddie Wineland.
Yeah.
And, you know,
That's what you're
it's a fair debut as well. I mean, given a guy who's, you know, Eddie Wineland 5-7 in the UFC, it's a fair debut, but a lot of experience on Eddie's side.
I just can't pick Popov. He's fought nobody of merit.
Yeah.
I mean, I just kind of you'll see this. You saw this with Tamer and the Korean Falcon this weekend.
Yeah.
He made Tamer look the best he's ever looked in the UFC, and some of that had to do with Tamer. More of that had to do with the lack of activity and the lack of being able to do anything for the Korean Falcon.
I would say this is even a harder debut than Daniel Tamer.
Much harder. Wineland has six wins or so in the UFC. He's got finishing power. They're both 5'7", so there's no advantage there for the newcomer. This is a way tougher debut. So props to you for that pick. We'll have to see. I mean, he has been training at Tiger Muay Thai, so that is definitely a camp. So big fan of that camp. So we'll see. But also, I believe it's Popov's American debut. Wineland, I believe, is from the Chicago area. So we've just got, just another reason on top of a reason. Mm-hmm. So the more and more I add up, I feel confident in Wineland here. But I haven't seen a lot of Popov, so we'll see. You want to get into our third fight of the night?
Yes, a very good fight here. We have Bevan Lewis versus Darren Stewart. And I'll be breaking down. Who am I breaking down?
The Contender Series killer Stewart. Can we just rename him the Contender? What does he have against my Contender Series?
He's got a few losses to him, but he has got a win over. Who's he have a win over? He has a win over Charles Bird, Eric Spicely in Liverpool. I was at that fight. His record is 2 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw. I've seen him a couple times live. I saw him in London in 2017. And then I saw him in Liverpool against Eric Spicely, which was a really nice finish on that night. Okay, so this is a decent matchup. Bevan Lewis, we saw his debut. I think we both picked against Bevan Lewis on his debut. He looked very good, though, for 13 minutes or so. And then Uriah Hall just caught him. Darren Stewart, he's improved slightly over the years. His boxing is his strong point. His kicks have improved, but his grappling is, it's questionable. Bevan Lewis, obviously losing his debut, looks so good though. Looks so decent in his debut.
That's a debut fight too.
Yeah, really tough, and he looked great. To be honest, picking Uriah Hall was the right pick, but for 95% of the fight, it was the wrong pick. I'm going to stick with Bevan Lewis. If Darren Stewart can get it done with his boxing again, I'll be impressed. But I think Bevan Lewis gets a TKO in round number 2.
Yeah, Darren Stewart, no stranger to being an underdog. Do you think all his fights so far in the UFC has been the underdog?
Pretty much. The closest he's been to a favourite was against Edmund Shabazian, I think.
Yep. Which is just so. I'll be breaking down the extraordinary gentleman, Bevan Lewis. 6-1, 3 TKOs. He did end up getting TKO'd by Uriah Hall, but he did make it into the 3rd round. Gave him a hell of a fight, and I think if they fought again down the line, he could win that fight. Mm-hmm. But that would be way down the line. In this fight, he definitely is taking several steps down in competition with Stewart, but Stewart keeps proving me wrong because I pick against him almost every time. And I mean, it did work out in the last fight with Edmund, but that was a close fight.
Yeah.
So I think we're in for another close one here. One thing about Bevin that I love is he's a two-time Dana White Contender Series winner, both of which coming by TKOs. So he's definitely not lacking confidence. I think that he's going to be an improved fighter from that loss. I hate the cliche of you can improve more from losses than wins sometimes, but I think here he really can. And I think that if he stands in striking range with Stewart, he does not have a good chance, though. I think he can't. He's got to crowd Stewart. He's got to make Stewart uncomfortable. He's got to make Stewart work to get up over and over again. Stewart has shown that he can get taken down, but gets up pretty easily, quickly. So it may take several takedowns each round, but I think Bevin looks much better here, gets a better result, and I agree with you, gets the decision win for the 27-year-old Bevin Lewis. But I am totally fine with anybody who sees the price here and takes a shot on Stewart. Minus 240 favorite for Bevin, plus 180 for Stewart, and I think that's more than worth taking a shot at Stewart. That is not one of my more confident picks of the night. I'll be honest. I think he could easily knock him out or win a decision.
Well, what did you say? Plus 180 for Darren Stewart?
Plus 180. I'm seeing plus 195 on some sites.
That could even rise later on in the week, to be honest. And that's a really decent price. We're taking Lewis, but decent price.
I think he can knock him out too.
For sure.
I think Stewart, and if not knock him out, I think Stewart can definitely use speed and footwork to avoid getting crowded. So that's I would like to see that price a little bit closer to like 160 or so. I think 240 is way too high, but I also still am picking Lewis, so it may sound like I'm talking on both sides of my mouth, but
no, you're making sense.
I will lead us off to the next one. I'll allow you to break down Jan second here. We're moving on to 115, and Angela Overkill Hill fighting again versus after her super memorable fight with Jody Escobar, the Battle of the Titans. I won't even go over it again because
did Jody Escobar get cut?
I think she just assumed. I think they're like, we don't have to say you're cut. Right, we'll just,
Yeah, surely that was a pink slip fight.
Yeah, I think she's just all right, I'll just see myself out. You don't want me at the press conference, post-fight. All right, just go have a lovely, life with Keith Jardine filming Crank 7 or whatever he's doing. So, good for them. But back to Angela Hill. She's 9-6 now. She's still got 3 TKOs. She got by Jody Escobar, as I said, and as we said on the fight, I said whoever lost the fight was getting fired. Whoever won the fight was losing their next fight. And Angela Hill just really wanted to make sure that I was confident in picking against her in her next fight because she is coming in on short notice against one of my favorites at 115, Jan. I just call her Jan. I don't call her anything else. She is a single name, Jan, to me. And we know with Angela Hill, she's got good cardio, decent stand-up, seems to struggle to get finishes in the UFC, but can beat certain fighters, but most fighters in the UFC has trouble with. I think Jan's way too good here, has an opportunity to get a real name on her resume, and I pick Jan, and I'm going to pick her to finish in round 2 with I'll say a submission.
Nice. Okay, so Jan comes into this fight 3-0 inside the UFC. She's extremely well-rounded from what we've seen. She has very good boxing. Her combinations are great. She throws out some decent kicks. Her grappling's there. Her range management is nothing short of brilliant from what I've seen. Her IQ seems there. All round just decent fighter. And then you look at Angela Hill, where, the boxing is obviously what she's trying to use. And, even if she has success with it, girls just, take a hold of her, grapple her, and that's the end of Angela Hill. So, yeah, this is my most confident pick for this card. Like I said before we started this podcast, my last two have been the most confident and they've lost. This is my most confident for this card. But I'm pretty sure this one comes in. You know, if Angela Hill can shock me, I know nothing about MMA. I know absolutely nothing about MMA if Angela Hill wins. So, you know, you took a round 2 sub. I'm going to give Jan a round 2 sub as well. That's what I have here. So yeah,
It was her first sub of her career, but
yeah,
I
it would
think
be
a lot of people can get their first sub of their career against somebody
against
like that.
Angela Hill. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
So, okay, we go to the odds here. I think these odds are pretty much spot on. Minus 210 for Jan, plus 170 for Angela.
I think it could be more. I think it could be -4 for Jan. That's how confident I am. And I shouldn't be, because my last two most confident have been Megan Anderson and Hadzovic, and they've lost. But if Angela Hill can surprise me here, then
I don't see how anybody sees a plus 170 price on Angela putting money on it.
I'd be amazed.
Have to be about 270 at a 3 for me to be even considering putting a low wager down on Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And then I still wouldn't do it. But 170, I'm not even considering it. It opened up at minus 120 for Jan. So.
Wow. Well, last week, Tonya Evinger's price was the one that kept creeping all week. I think this week, maybe Jan's could be the price that just keeps going and going and going.
Wasn't Tanya still the favorite at fight night?
Yeah, I mean, she started at like minus 180 and she ended at like minus 290 or something ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, it kept going. Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. So I think Jan's would be the one this week that could just, you know, -2 seems a little low for me.
Yeah, I think I see the one of the. I actually see a different female fight being that one that we're going to break down here in a second. The Grasso Kowalkiewicz fight. I think that's the one that's going to switch the odds. I think that's one where the odds aren't going to switch, and they should. So I won't go over who's the favorite right now, but I think who the favorite is going to continue to shift to being more of a favorite when they should be. So we'll get to that in a second. We're on to 145 and a really good fight. I think has high potential at being potential fight of the night here between Ricardo Lamas and Calvin Kattar. I will be breaking down Calvin Kattar, the Boston. I believe the Boston Strangler is his nickname, although he's been looking to brawl since he's been in the UFC, so maybe consider changing that. But 19-3 overall, 8 TKOs, 3 submissions. He's 3-1 now in the UFC. He's got wins over Shane Burgos, Andre Touchy-Feely, and Chris Fishgold. Most recently when he got the first round TKO over Fishgold and looked really good. The guy's fought really good competition since entering the octagon. He's looked like he's belonged there in pretty much every fight he's been in, even the fight he lost. He's more confident in every area, every aspect he can finish. He's going to be a taller and bigger guy against Lamas here, and I think that's going to be a big difference in this fight. I think that there's going to be times where Kattar is able to touch him, and in order for Lamas to try to touch him, he's going to have to come in and may get caught with some knees to the body or other shots, even in a clinch with Kattar. And I think that will allow Kattar to keep the fight at range where he wants it when it's standing. And I think also Kattar has the ability to take him down and work his grappling game. So, yeah, I don't know if it's clear, but I'm not sure if he's getting the finish, but I got Kattar here. I think he's better in most spots that it could go in this fight. So I'll take Kattar by, I'll say I'm going to say a third round TKO finish.
Interesting.
I think it's going to be a win.
Okay. Ricardo Lamas comes into this fight 10 wins, 5 losses inside the UFC. A veteran of 145 division. He's fought mainly top competition his whole time. He's very well-rounded. You know, he can bang on the feet. He can look for takedowns. Just a very well-rounded 145er. Calvin Kattar, very decent boxing. For me, if you're taking Calvin Kattar, you know, you're basically banking on takedown defense because I think Ricardo Lamas is more well-rounded. But if you're gonna bet on Ricardo Lamas, you're basically banking on his experience, and just his all-round game to see the job through. So, this one I've been quite back and forth on the last like 2 or 3 days. It's a very tough pick. I just think Calvin Kattar has, he has a decent foundation. His boxing is very good. And I'd like to assume that he's basically drilled takedown defense and other areas of his game this whole time since his last fight. So for that reason, I'm going to take Calvin Kattar to win a close decision.
Okay. Fair enough. Kattar does have a third round finish against Shane Burgos in January last year. He had 3 fights in 2018. He's yet to fight in 2019. So
I was at his fight in New York against Renato Moicano, and I took him that night, man. And oh wow, Renato had such a good performance. Like all 3 rounds, just those calf kicks.
Yep.
Amazing.
And that could be something we see out of Lamas here. Lamas has some decent kicks, calf kicks himself. So those could be some things he looks to land while Kattar's at range. So definitely a close fight. We go to the odds, and the favorite is Calvin Kattar at -170, +140 for Ricardo Lamas. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's decent. That sounds about right. Perfect.
Sweet. And that leads us into our next fight, which is at what, 115?
115.
Okay, 115 between Alexa Grasso and Karolina Kowalkiewicz. I will be breaking down Alexa Grasso, who is now 10-2 with 4 TKOs, 2-2 in the UFC, beating Randa Marcos and Heather Clark while losing to Felisa Herrig and Tatiana Suarez, who ran through Grasso in less than a round. Good news for Grasso is she'll never have to face Suarez again. Suarez move on to be a 4-division champ by the end of things here. But Grasso definitely has an interesting matchup against Karolina Kowalkiewicz, who's I'm just unsure where her head's at this point. She spent a lot of time crying after fights lately, and getting beat up during the fights. That is Karolina. And Grasso has very good boxing. Doesn't have a ton of power, and it's the other aspects of the game she's a little weaker in, but her boxing and footwork is very good. I think that this is a very winnable fight. And my real question here is that Karolina, she lost at the end of March, and she's already coming back. So I think that may be a good sign that she's still motivated, or it may be a sign that she's looking to rush things and get just get the loss out of her head without really putting it together what she needs to do better here. She had that KO loss to Jessica Andrade, and I think that did a number on her. And
that was brutal knockout.
Yeah, Andrade has 2 of the most brutal knockouts ever in the women's division for sure. And I just feel this is a kind of similar, mirrors the motivations between Anthony Smith and Gustafsson. Not the same thing here, but I think motivation and hunger is going to be a huge factor. Both are coming off a loss, but I think the way Grasso is going to respond to her loss compared to Karolina, I think could be really different. And I think I have a decision for Grasso. I just have a feeling this is a huge breakout fight for her biggest win of her career, and I'll take Alexa Grasso by decision.
Nice. Okay. So, Karolina comes into this fight 5 wins, 4 losses in the UFC. Now, that's quite a surprising record, because when we think about this girl, she should have a far better record than 5 wins, 4 losses. We know about this girl. She has very good kickboxing. Her IQ is very decent most of the time. Her grappling did need a lot of work, and she did improve it. When girls look to grapple her now, she's very offensive, throws a lot of knees whilst being grappled. If you look at the Felice Herrig fight, you'd see a bit of that. And if you look at even her last fight where she lost, you can see how offensive she has become in the clinch. her groundwork did need some work. It probably still does, but she's fairly decent on the ground. Yeah, it's hard to pick if Karolina, is still motivated, like you said. But I'd like to assume she could win here. She's very decent, man, and 5-4 record is, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be like that. But she's 5-4, and she lost her last fight, and she's back already. So take it either way. But yeah, I'm going to take Karolina. I think, she's a decent kickboxer, and she also can move very well. So I'd like to assume she can win this one. So I'll take Karolina via decision.
Yeah, I think one thing to consider with Grasso is she didn't get to really show what she was training for against Suarez. She still was training for a really good grappler and wrestler for 8 weeks before she got dominated by Suarez. So there are things she took from that fight. So if Karolina looks to grapple, I think she may struggle against Alexa, because I have to imagine Alexa, there's some lessons that still stuck, even though she was unable to, But we'll see. We go to the odds here. Karolina is the favorite at -125. So plus 105 for Grasso. I see that being closer to 150 to 160 for Karolina by fight night.
It seems about right at the moment.
Yeah.
If it got closer to a pick'em, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I hope it keeps shifting towards Karolina. I'd love to see like a plus 160 price on Grasso. I'd be firing at it.
That would be a very decent price.
That's what it opened at. It opened at plus 160, minus 190. So initially the money has shifted towards Grasso, but I see as the week goes, the money shifting towards Karolina, but we'll see. Lead us into the next fight at 135.
Okay, so we have Pedro Munhoz versus Aljamain Sterling, and I'll be breaking down Pedro. Comes into this fight now 8 wins, 3 losses inside the UFC. So, this guy's becoming a serious contender in the 135 division. He's improved fight by fight, has very good jiu-jitsu, his grappling is very strong in the 135 division. And even his stand-up, it's improved fight by fight. You look at the fight against Brett Johns, those calf kicks, the variety of kicks he threw on that night was extremely impressive. Credit to Brett Johns for, just not quitting. He would get up every time he was kicked down and couldn't move, but Pedro Munhoz was very special on that night. Now, you look at the Cody fight. A lot of people, after that fight, or probably if you ask someone their opinion of that fight, they'll still say the same thing. A lot of people seem to say, oh, Cody loaded up again, Cody got emotional, Cody did the same thing. Well, he did, but if you watch the fight and watch the fight for what it was, you'd see Pedro Munhoz kicked his calf the way he did Brett Johns a good 10 to 15 times, and, Cody's not just doing that because he wanted to do that. Pedro Munhoz was beating Cody at his own game. Pedro Munhoz didn't look to grapple. Pedro Munhoz beat Cody up going toe-to-toe with him. And, he hurt his calf a lot and forced Cody into an emotional brawl where Pedro Munhoz just shined. So, this is a really, really decent fight. Earlier on you was talking about how good of a fight Ricardo Lamas and Calvin Kattar is. Even the number 1 contender, Caitlin Chookagian, Joanne Calderwood. This is a number 1 contender fight also. Pedro Munhoz versus Aljamain Sterling in the 135 division. I'm not good at predicting Aljamain Sterling fights. I'm good at predicting Pedro Munhoz fights, so this is going to be a weird one to predict. Aljamain Sterling is a very strong wrestler, and he's quite long and quite a bit of a bully in the division. So yeah, this could go either way, really. It's such a tough pick, but I'm going to take Aljamain Sterling. I just think his strength is the difference here. Just his reach and his frame for the 135 division it always seems to benefit him, unless you're Marlon Moraes and you've head kicked him, or put your knee in his face. It's a very tough pick, but I'm going to take Aljamain Sterling via a very close decision.
Yeah, I mean, you make a really good point, but there's 6 of the 12 fights on this card are extremely relevant, either title or title contending fights. So, pretty sweet card. I will be breaking down Aljamain Funkmaster Sterling, now 29 years old, 17-3 record, 2 TKOs, 9 submissions, 9-3 in the UFC, winner of 3 straight. Got a unanimous decision win over Jimmy Rivera in his most recent matchup, where he looked really good everywhere. He's slowly involved and improved that stand-up game over his UFC career. The grappling department remained dominant. His strength and length are unmatched in this division, and I think he'd be a fool to look to get into a firefighter brawl against Munhoz here. I think Munhoz needs to look to fire those leg kicks early and often, even if it results in the takedown. I think he's got to take that risk of landing some damage early, but I just don't see that being able to happen. It's part of the reason I'm not picking this to be fight of the night. I think Aljamain Sterling makes this very much not fight of the night. And he wants to hear boos in this fight. If he's hearing boos, he's doing his job in this one, if that makes sense. So I'm going to take Sterling to just grind out a decision win here and hope it's enough to get a title shot. He's been so close to almost getting a title shot many times here. And I think this is the one where he, by any means necessary, looks for the win. Doesn't look to be the most exciting here, but gets the job done. Decision win for Aljamain for me. Minus 140 favorite, plus 110 for Pedro. I think that's a decent price. Pedro opened as a favorite, minus 130.
Yeah, it could get a little closer come fight night, but that is such a tough fight to pick, man. Such a tough fight.
At minus 115 each way. It would make sense to me.
I mean, would you assume whoever wins that does get the next shot?
I think Pedro Munhoz, yeah.
They'd have to, right?
I mean, there's Jimmy Rivera and Peter Yan, so if Peter Yan won, you have an argument there.
If he got a TKO, I have a decent argument for him.
Yeah, if he first round TKOs him, I think he's ahead of both those guys. So
could well be.
I mean, just judging, they put him on the main card. They didn't put Aljamain and Pedro on the main card, but they also, have been wanting to advertise their prelims for ESPN. So
surely that's the feature fight on the prelims. Why is Tatiana and Nina Ansaroff the feature fight?
Well, Tatiana's about to have 4 division champions in a few years.
We're calling it already, yeah? We're the first prediction channel to call it already.
I have no problem. I think she's going to be the strawweight champ. I think she's going to be the flyweight champ. I think she'll be the bantamweight champ. And if there's still a featherweight championship, I think she'll win that too.
I agree with you.
I really do.
I agree with you.
I don't know what other... Yeah, I think she could... I think she could win all 4 divisions by the end of it.
Do we even break that fight down now?
I mean, we'll let's just go on into that. Let's just go on into the Tatiana Suarez, Nina Ansaroff fight. I'll get Nina out of the way here. I'm sorry, Nina. I don't mean to be disrespectful. The fact that you've won your last 3 has been really surprising. But they've been against Angela Hill, Randa Marcos, and the Claudia Gadelha one was a very impressive decision in her last one. She's 4-2 now. She started out 0-2 in her UFC career. I believe she started out 0-3 in her actual MMA career as well. So she is somebody who really likes to have her back up against the wall and seems to perform best when all the adversity is in her way. She trains out of ATT, and so she has a really good camp. Obviously, we know what I feel about Tatiana, and I think Tatiana is going to be a champ, and this is another step in the road. I'm going to give Nina a little bit of respect and say it's going to be a round 2 submission win, but I'll say round 2 submission for Tatiana. Nina, if she wins this one, I would be shocked. To be I think this would be my most surprising upset of the year if this happens. I'd be shocked.
Okay.
So, all due respect to Nina, I got Tatiana round 2 sub.
Nice. Okay, so Tatiana comes into this fight 3 wins, 0 losses inside the UFC. Previously fighting on the Ultimate Fighter. For those who don't know who Tatiana Suarez is, me and Brooks would both agree this is the female version of Habib. She's an extremely...
Probably say that on the pay-per-view. Or, yeah, they'll probably say that.
Yeah, she is an extremely strong grappler. If she gets a hold of you, you know, you're going to the mat and you're getting mauled, most likely. You did say you've basically nailed this whole breakdown. Nina Ansaroff has been impressive recently, and even in her last fight, more so than the previous two. The only case I would really make for her right now is if you look at the opponents of Tatiana Suarez, if you look at how Tatiana is able to get a hold of them, Nina Ansaroff is probably going to be like the widest opponent, like the heaviest opponent, if that makes sense. Like she's not a stick. Like as nice as that sounds, you know, she's a bit of a fatty, kinda, if that makes any sense to anyone.
She's with 2 C's as we stay over here in Canada / America.
Yeah, like she's a bit of a lump. So if she is able to stop the takedowns and all of that, then you know
Tatiana's in trouble.
Yeah, her price changes dramatically.
Yeah, we've never seen anybody even kind of stop. Has Tatiana ever had a takedown stuff?
I don't think so.
I mean, I don't ever trust UFC's website with percentage numbers and shit. So yeah. I'm not going to go on there and look, but it's got to be close to 100%. So if somehow Nina is able to avoid that, she trains with killers at ATT. She's probably got some men helping her with the grappling.
Yeah, and she showcased it in her last 3. She's proven that she wants to keep it toe to toe.
You're right. And I mean, if Tatiana can't get a couple takedowns, not that this is all my imagination, this is hypothetical, but I could see her totally getting really tired quick and worried on her feet. And so yeah, we haven't seen Tatiana struggle, so that is a really good point. That being said, I would be really surprised. So,
but I'm going to agree with you. I do give Nina that respect, and I'm going to take a round 2 sub for Tatiana.
Okay. All right, and we go to the odds, and it's minus 1,000 for Tatiana. I think it could be more, but
I mean,
plus 600 for Ansaroff. Wasn't Raoni Barcelos a minus 1,400?
Something close to that.
Like ridiculous. So yeah, I think whatever Raoni Barcelos' number was against Chris Leyton, where he almost lost, that's what the number should be at. I know that's very. I
mean, if
at the same point, minus 1,000 against a woman on a 4-fight winning streak in the UFC against some decent competition.
I mean,
quite substantial.
If she gets the takedown, that minus 1,000 is like minus 3,000. If she can't get the takedown, that's like what, like minus 150. Like,
yeah, it's a pick 'em, honestly. That is really amazing to say, but if she can't get the takedown, it's hard to imagine how she would be even a favorite against Nina.
And how many times have we seen people fail to get a takedown? It happens every week.
Yeah, like I mean, I even go back to like Prazeres' last fight, Michelle Prazeres' last fight against the newcomer who you picked, the newcomer
plus 300.
I was like, no, he can wrestle all and he won't get tired. And then he stuffed a couple takedowns and got tired very quickly.
I saw it. I think it was against Pat Cummins. I saw it, man. In that 3rd round, he was so tired.
Well, we're talking about someone else then if you're talking about against Pat Cummins.
Or was it Zach? Oh, no, it was someone. It was someone. Who's the other Cummins guy?
Zach Cummins.
Yeah, it could have been him.
Yeah, you're right. But either way, I guess I went a little overboard on my convincing on how convinced I am Tatiana wins. I do think that she should be one of the biggest favorites, if not I think she should be the biggest favorite on the card.
Yeah, I would agree.
We'll see though. There's I think one other contender here for potential biggest. But we are on to the beginning of the main card now with a what I think they call us big old-fashioned slobber knocker here in Canada / America. Tai Tuivasa and Blagoy Ivanovic or Ivanova or whatever.
Ivanov.
God, why I always add a little niche.
I know. You and European names don't go.
I apologize to all our European listeners and all our listeners from Canada and America and anywhere else here in this crazy, crazy world of ours. I will be breaking down medium. I'll be breaking down Tai Tuivasa, the 26-year-old, 8-1, 7 TKOs, 3-1 in the UFC. Most notable win was an Andrei Arlovsky fight where he was in trouble several times. Hasn't fought since the second round TKO against JDS, where he was kind of outclassed, but he went out on his shield at least. Did have a couple moments in that fight though, and I am proud to say I picked Tai in that fight. One of my many main event incorrect fights. He has taken some time off, so we'll see if that's allowed him to kind of take a step back and add some skills and a little bit of game plan to the firepower. With Ivanov, he's a guy who just doesn't have great stand-up, but knows how to make a fight dirty, keeps the fight close, and they'll mention at least 2 or 3 times in the fight that Blagoy got stabbed in the stomach at one point. So just, take that into note. He's tough. He can get stabbed in the belly and still keep going. So I'll pick Blagoy on route to decision win, using a lot of wrestling probably. Sambo background. So I'll take Blagoy.
Okay, nice. Ivanov comes into this fight 1-1 inside the UFC. Tough debut against JDS. And then fought Ben Rothwell where, decent close fight for both guys. So what I've learned watching Ivanov in those 2 fights is he's a very patient guy. Doesn't look to explode straight away. He's very technical with his hands. Tai Tuivasa, very entertaining guy inside the cage and outside the cage with the shoey. He's going to come forward and throw bombs. Ivanov has mainly used his boxing inside his 2 fights. I just see this one being pretty much fireworks in the first round. Ivanov has been patient in both of those fights, but Ben Rothwell was in his face but wasn't throwing too much, and JDS was on his bike for all the fight. Tai Tuivasa is going to be in his face and he's going to be throwing a lot. So I think Ivanov catches Tai because Tai does put himself in positions where he can be knocked out. That's why he's so entertaining. That's why there's, always an exciting fight when he's fighting. Or Tai Tuivasa pretty much gets in his face and does land big shots. I don't expect it to be, how Cyril Asker got dominated by Tai because that guy is terrible. But I do see either guy hurting the other guy pretty quick. So I'll take Tai Tuivasa to get a round 1 TKO.
Okay, fair enough. We see a little bit of a different fight here going down, but the favorite is Tai Tuivasa. He is the -150 favorite, plus 120 for Blagoy. I'll be putting a little bit down on Blagoy now before he becomes the favorite.
Mm-hmm. If he can mix it up and do what you've said, then he could well be in for a win. He has
mixed it up before getting in the octagon.
Mm-hmm.
World Series of Fighting, he was a very well-balanced guy. Had used a lot of his wrestling. Since getting into the octagon, he's been a little bit more one-dimensional on the feet, but also with Rothwell, he really kind of schooled Rothwell.
Mm-hmm. And most people thought Rothwell won that first round and won that fight, but
that's not what I saw.
Yeah, same.
So Rothwell was trying harder to hurt him, but that's not what it's all about. I mean, Blagoy fought a really well done stand-up mixed martial arts game there. Mm-hmm. And so I see him doing a similar type of thing here. And he's been stabbed in the stomach, dude. So
move us on.
Yeah. All right, fine. Moving us on to 135 between Jimmy Altera Rivera. I love when people adjust how they say their nicknames so it rhymes with their last name. One of my faves. Versus Peter Yan. I'll be breaking down Jimmy Rivera, 22-3. I think his nickname should not be Altera, but it should be the Decision Machine. 16 of 22 of his wins being by that method. 5-2 record in the UFC. Fighting Tiger Schulman. And he has wins over Ricardo Almeida, Uriah Faber, Pedro Munhoz, all those coming in the UFC. He got starched in his fights against Magic Moraes, and then followed that up with a pretty lopsided decision against Sterling, who had Rivera looking really predictable, slow, and gassing in the third. But before that, he was on a 20-fight win streak. So the guy has good, solid boxing, doesn't really use too much more. Some leg kicks occasionally, but his wrestling, he doesn't really look to go to his wrestling ever. And I think he gets beat up by a quicker guy in Peter Yan here. And my concern is sometimes he leaves himself open with his stand-up, getting rocked, especially as he gets tired. And that's how I see Yan winning. And in the second round, I see him leaving himself open and getting cracked. So I'll take Peter Yan by second round TKO.
Nice. Okay, so Peter Yan comes into this fight 4-0 inside the UFC. He joined the UFC exactly 12 months ago. And that's exactly going back to your point earlier on where you say if Peter Yan wins this, he could be in for a title fight. So, 12 months go by, you're 4-0 and you could be 5-0. You're on a main card, you're looking great. Looking at this fight, Peter Yan, from what we've seen, his boxing is so quick. He has a very tough chin. And just his overall style, man, he looks so good. Jimmy Rivera, Aljamain Sterling in his last fight looked to take him down. Rivera was able to pretty much stuff the majority of the takedowns. And at some point looked for his own takedown but couldn't get it. If I was to try and make a case for Jimmy Rivera, it would be to look to grapple. Because who's got a hold of Peter Yan?
He doesn't do it. That's how I picked him to win against. That's how I picked him to win a couple of fights. Is I was hoping he would grapple. He doesn't do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, no one's got a hold of Peter Yan yet, and everyone's been beat up. One of his most impressive fights was against that Chinese kid. I can't remember his name. I know you'll remember it though, but that was so impressive, man. That Chinese kid went toe to toe with him, and
are you talking about Peter Yan?
Yep. It was like his second ever fight in the UFC, I believe.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was an amazing fight.
Versus Soon's son, right?
Yeah, that was it. And, since then...
that was a great...
You even look at John Dodson. He didn't want to go toe-to-toe with Peter Yan.
Douglas Silva de Andrade was going toe-to-toe till he just couldn't take it anymore at the end of the second. Mm-hmm. And that's a pure Muay Thai guy, and the Silva and de Andrade. I picked against Peter Yan in 2 of his 4 fights.
I even went against Peter Yan in his debut against Ishihara.
Wow.
I know.
I don't know if I did or not, but man...
No, you didn't. Okay. But yeah, that's the only time I've gone against Peter Yan. Since then, I've taken him in his next 3.
Yeah, against him with Jinsu's son and against Douglas Silva de Andrade.
There you go.
Against Dodson.
Mm-hmm. So you're looking at those 4 fights, and you go toe-to-toe with Peter Yan, apparently you lose. So if I'm Jimmy Rivera, I'm looking to just be stronger. If you can do that for 15 minutes, then maybe you can work your way to a decision. But as of right now, looking at both guys, if this was to go toe-to-toe, I see Peter Yan absolutely obliterating Jimmy Rivera. So, yeah, I'll take Peter Yan via a very strong, dominant performance. Decision.
Yeah, I mean, maybe with the Aljamain Sterling Jimmy Rivera fight, he was just really hesitant to go to wrestling because it was against Sterling. But I think that if he doesn't look to wrestle here, that would not be wise. and I don't think he has much of a chance. So,
And when you look at those exchanges against Aljamain Sterling whilst they were grappling, Jimmy Rivera wasn't doing bad. So surely you take some confidence to that and say, look, I'm gonna, take this guy down. I'm gonna bully this guy because no one's
yeah,
tried to do that yet. But that's something Jimmy Rivera needs to do. We can speak about it, but he decides.
yep. Peter Yan minus 360, open at minus 180.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep. That's 360 plus 260 for Jimmy Rivera. That's a little heavy, but not that heavy, but a little bit heavy for me.
Yeah, that is a little heavy. To say he was on a 20 win streak from his
Right.
last two, that is. But man, Peter Yan's looked good. Very good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That should be an interesting fight. If Jimmy shows he's willing to wrestle, that makes this a very interesting fight, though.
Mm-hmm.
So, moving us on to the first of the two co-main events here between Tony El Kukui Ferguson and Donald Cowboy Cerrone fighting for a second time in about a month. I'll be breaking down Tony El Kukui. The 35-year-old now is 24-3 overall, 11 TKOs and 8 submissions. He's currently on an 11-fight win streak dating back to October 2013. But he's fought just twice over the last 2 years due to a leg injury and some other outside the octagon issues, we'll say. But when the guy is in the octagon, there's no one like him, really, with regards to the pace, the output, the danger from everywhere, and the danger he puts himself in. One thing that I certainly can be said about him is that he gets hit in all his fights, as I said. So he's able to push through that, was able to make Pettis quit in his last fight. And I don't see that being the case here. I think whoever wins this fight is going to have to go to full 15 to do it. I don't think either guy's getting finished here. But if there is a finish, I think it could be by submission from either side if it happens. But I think this is a really close fight, and I don't pick Donald Cerrone fights well. And I don't love it coming off a month, and I just think it's Donald's time. I can't really explain it other than that. I think he pulls this one out. I think it's close. I think it's back and forth. I think it's bloody, and Donald wins a decision.
That makes sense. That makes complete sense to what I'm about to say. Okay. Donald Cerrone comes into this fight an absolute warrior and a veteran of the sport. I'm not going to check his record, but I will go on record and say I cannot predict Donald Cerrone fights. When I take him, he loses. When I don't take him, he wins. And I know that's the exact same for you, Aaron. So he has great Muay Thai. He has very good Jiu-Jitsu. He's very strong at 155. He's a very hard guy to take down. We know about Donald Cerrone. I think this is an amazing fight. This is the fight I'm most looking forward to. In my eyes, this is the main event fight. It's just going to be insane. It's going to be an insane fight for 3 rounds or for as long as it lasts. Tony Ferguson, he's great at doing everything that he does. His jiu-jitsu off of his back, his unorthodox style on the feet, his relentless 10 out of 10 conditioning. He does get hurt. His chin, is tested pretty much all the time. But, just his conditioning is insane. He's always there. When he gets hurt, he just starts doing flips. He's crazy. I just see this fight being insane. I see there being just a lot of blood. And whoever wins, credit to him. But yeah, one of us is going to be wrong in this pick because we both can't predict Donald Cerrone fights. And I'm going to take Tony Ferguson to get a TKO and break Donald Cerrone. So one of us is going to break the curse for Donald Cerrone. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be they say this a lot, but I don't see how this is going to be a bad fight. I really don't.
This is going to be a great fight, mate.
I'm not crazy about being on a month, but some of Donald Cerrone's best performances have been under scenarios like this, and I can't doubt him here. I doubted him too many times, and I think he's too close now to get stopped by a guy who's been a little bit inactive over the last few years. And Cerrone's got accurate striking, and Ferguson is there to be hit. Can you hit him? So We'll
Well,
see.
there
It's a
you
great
go.
fight.
You're banking on the Muay Thai and just how great Donald Cerrone is, and Tony Ferguson always gets hurt, and I'm banking on Tony Ferguson's endless conditioning to break Donald Cerrone. So one of us is going to get it spot on.
Yep. So this is interesting, the odds here. They opened at minus 300 for Tony Ferguson, plus 240 for Donald Cerrone. They
Wow.
are now at, which is insane. It is now cut in half, minus 150 plus 120 for Donald Cerrone, minus 150 for Tony Ferguson.
I expect it to be a little closer come fight night.
Yeah, I'm going to get my money on Cerrone while he's an underdog. He is a plus 120 underdog in this fight. He was plus 160 against Mike Perry.
Fair play.
He was plus 160 against, who did he fight in his last fight?
Al?
Yeah, he was plus 160 against Quinta. Now he's plus 120. Go figure.
Yeah.
Go figure. MMA is the shortest memory of any sport, I think, exists. It's just one fight. There's no way you can win. The next fight, there's every way you can win. It's just very interesting how that works. Tony Ferguson is definitely the toughest of the three opponents he's faced of these last three, and it's his best odds. So,
well,
go figure.
One of us is going to break the Donald Cerrone curse. And I don't feel confident. How confident do you feel?
Donald Cerrone has not fought well in Chicago. I was at a fight of his in Chicago against Anthony Pettis where he lost in about 14 seconds by a liver kick.
There you go.
Yeah, and I believe
I feel more confident now.
I believe he also fought in Chicago when he lost to Nate Diaz, and Nate Diaz talked all that shit and then beat him to death for 3 rounds nearly.
Chicago, let's go.
So maybe the Cowboy don't like that the Windy City. So who knows? But I've got to stick with my pick. I got down by decision.
And that's our third disagreement.
Beautiful. We're not having a disagreement in the co-main event. So
we might do.
Well, yeah, we might if you really want to. But I can, I'll keep my eye on this one. Between Valentina Shevchenko and Jessica Ai. I'll keep my eye on this one.
I see what you're doing there.
I'm glad you did. I just want to make sure it was very clever.
Yeah.
How about you go ahead and lead us in with the challenger?
With the challenger, okay, so Jessica Ai comes into this fight. What is her record now? She's 14-6 as a pro. She won her last fight against Caitlin Chookagian, which was pretty much back and forth. Yeah, she's a decent girl, but she's fighting such a monster in Valentina. If your name's not Amanda Nunes, can you beat Valentina? Probably not. Jessica Ai's been doing okay recently. Got the split over Faria. Beat Jessica Rose Clark, which was a pretty decent performance. But yeah, there's no way she can win this fight for me. If she does, I'll be amazed. I'll be as amazed as Nina winning, or even Angela Hill. I pretty much give her no chance everywhere the fight goes. So I'll take Valentina to get a TKO in round number 4.
Yeah. I will be breaking down the bullet, Valentina Shevchenko. She's 16-3 overall, 5-1 in the UFC. She's got 5-2, I believe, in the UFC. I may have a miss.
5-2.
That's just being bitter about the first Amanda loss, but 4 KOs and 7 subs for 16 wins. Valentina, we know she's good everywhere. Really good kickboxing, really good submissions and takedown defense. She's really determines where the fight, where she wants to go in the fight. Looked nearly perfect against Joanna in her last fight. I was in her fight in Denver when she faced Juliana Pena and was really impressed with her composure and her sub skills in that one. Needless to say, I have her in this matchup. I think that Ai is outgunned. I think it, could be brutal, similar to Valentina, some of Valentina's other beatdowns, but I'll take the finish within 3 rounds. I think Jessica's only chance is to go in there and swing hard and catch her.
Mm-hmm.
And like catch her Thug Rose style with a few hooks in close, just catching that chin. Other than that, I think other than the knockout, I don't see Jessica's method of victory here. Other than, I hate to say it, a lucky punch, pretty much. So yeah, we agree. I'll take Valentina. I'll take a submission in round 3.
Nice. And the odds are probably crazy, right?
Yeah, they're all over the place. On Bovada, minus 1,200. On other sites, I'm seeing minus 1,750.
1,750?
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Minus 1,750 plus 1,050 for Jessica coming back. I would throw at least $20 on that. If I see that price, I'm throwing a little $20 holler.
That's
like,
insane.
That's insane.
That's okay.
Like, relax, people. Like,
1,750.
It opened at a minus 1,000 plus 600, which is totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is just. Man.
Can Jessica I do it? This is MMA.
I do think she can. I really do. As much as I'm poo-pooing it again, I know I've done that now with 2 fights here where I've just talked about it and said there's no chance, and then some would see it as walking back. But I do actually see a way Jessica wins. And I do. I think she's got decent hands, and she hasn't gotten a finish so far in the UFC.
Oh, right, okay.
You gotta get one at some point.
Yeah, let's just get one over Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah, you get one over the best fighter. Why not?
That would be perfect. Your first TKO is, it's actually legit. It's not a TKO where it's like, oh, you're going to move into the top 5. If you're going to TKO someone and make it your first, just make it Valentina. I see what you're saying.
I mean, Cejudo hadn't had a knockout like he did until he got that knockout on TJ.
Yep. I mean, it's done big things for him.
Yeah, and if he didn't come in and get that knockout in the first round the way he did with just kind of multiple hooks that all hit the chin of TJ and put him down, she could do that. Anybody can do that, right?
Mm-hmm. Crazy sport.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll just have to see, but yeah, we're gonna agree on that one. That is not going to be one of the disagreements tonight.
Okay, so one more fight, main event. This will either be 4 disagreements or 3 disagreements for the whole card. We have Henry Cejudo versus Marlon Moraes, and I'll be breaking down Henry. Comes into this fight 8 wins, 2 losses inside the UFC. Whether you like him or not, with a record of 8-2 and a chance to become champ, he is slowly creeping up that pound for pound list. Now, I'm not saying he can be number 1 or, will be. I'm just saying whether you like him or not, he's on the right track. Great wrestling. And his stand-up has evolved. I think his IQ and just how competitive he is, plays a big part in who he is. I think he's going to be even stronger at 135. I think he's going to be quicker than Marlon Moraes. I think he's going to be far stronger. If you're Marlon Moraes, you've got to gain some respect early. You've got to hit Henry Cejudo. You've got to just throw a nasty combo and gain some respect. I think Henry Cejudo is going to try and be a bully. I think he's going to be the stronger guy. I think he's going to be quicker. And I think he's going to shoot early and often. So yeah, it could go either way. As for conditioning, I think Henry Cejudo has great conditioning. I see him being even better at 135 than what he was at 25. Really decent matchup, man. Marlon Moraes has looked a killer inside the UFC. But I'm going to take Henry Cejudo to just make it a very heavy grappling contest. So I see him winning a decent decision.
Fair enough. I will be breaking down Marlon, the Magic Man Moraes, 22-5 overall. 10 TKOs and 6 submissions in those 22 wins. He is on a 3-fight finishing streak, coming against Aljamain Sterling, Jimmy Rivera, and Rafael Assunção, all of which coming in the first round, 2 of which coming in around a minute, and the last one coming in just over 3 minutes. So this is a really interesting fight to call. With Marlon, he's going to want to keep this on the feet. He's going to be looking to sprawl early and often. He's going to be ready for the takedowns. But having Cejudo have to cut 10 less pounds, having Cejudo have more of cardio, having Cejudo being able to be definitely the stronger guy in this matchup at 135, and having Cejudo have 5 rounds, I think all play hugely in his favor. The first round, it's all about being the matador. He's got to really drain some of the energy from Marlon, and that may be from Marlon swinging and missing a little bit as opposed to defending all the takedowns, because I think Cejudo may struggle for entry on takedowns when Marlon's sharp, because I think Marlon's going to be looking to launch knees, elbows, quick punches, uppercuts, anything when Cejudo comes in and crowds him. So the first round, I think he's a matador. By round 2, late in round 2, by round 3, Cejudo slowly becomes the bull, starts to charge, starts to take control of the octagon, starts to push Marlon, have Marlon's back against the octagon, and then he starts to take him down. And I look at, as the fight goes on, Marlon gets more tired, less effective, and Cejudo gets not less tired, but tired less fast than Marlon. And it's the difference. I think Cejudo becomes champ. I think there's a lot of people who are upset and look for ways to not give him credit. I think between his personality and his fight style, not everybody loves it. But yeah, I got Cejudo becoming champ here.
Nice. We pretty much see the same fight.
Yeah, Marlon can catch him, and I think that first round is. I think Marlon in the first round is not a bad bet as a cover, because I see that being one of the only ways that Cejudo ends up losing this fight. Mm-hmm. So I think that I don't see Marlon doing a 5-round decision.
Yeah,
I don't.
If you remember what I said last week for the main event, I said if Gus has a convincing first 10 minutes, I see him cruising the way John Jones could. I said if Gus has trouble in those first 2 rounds, those first 10 minutes, it could predict the later rounds, and it kind of did. So Same here. I think if Marlon Moraes can earn some respect that first round, it really could make it a hard night for Cejudo. But if Cejudo gets a hold of him and Marlon is using energy for the first 3-4 minutes, and not the energy he wants to be using, then it could really set up the night for Cejudo. So it's either way.
Yeah, this is definitely a grappler striker or grappler finisher type of matchup. And Marlon has shown now in his last 3 that he could handle, or 2 of the 3 were grapplers, and he put them away. So, but that is a low probability of a finish as you continue to move on. But still, it could happen. But looking at the odds, it's -110 for Henry, -120 for Marlon.
So it's a pick 'em.
Marlon opened at -190 favorite.
That's a little insane.
2-1 on Marlon is a little strange, but yeah, either way, it's become sane thanks to betting. So, what's your fight of the night, Tony and Donald?
I would both agree that's the fight of the night, but if we couldn't pick that, I would go with.
Yeah, give me one off the beat.
I think fight of the night. If you couldn't pick that, I'm gonna say Tuivasa and Ivanov is a crazy first round.
Oh man. Okay. I would say Ricardo Lamas, Calvin Kattar, or Bevan Lewis and Darren Stewart both have, I think, ability to be crowd pleasing types of wars.
Yeah. Even Pedro Munhoz and Aljamain Sterling. If I know you predict Sterling to do the boring stuff, and that is wise. You want to be a competitive guy before an entertaining guy, but.
I think, and not to keep talking here, but I think Grasso and Kowalkiewicz, that could be 200-plus strikes from both sides. That's 2 very active.
Very good fights on this card.
Very good fight. I mean, what's the fight that I'm going to be cooking my steak during here?
I'd
I don't.
say
I
Wineland and
guess it's
Popov.
Wineland and Popov, but
Yeah.
that could be crazy. We don't know about these guys. I mean, that's going to be a fun stand-up war. Honestly, there's not this
I think
fight.
we're going to have the steak before the card.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to eat early here. So stay tuned, everybody. But as always, thank you for listening. You all are savages. And everything we say, with the Bella jokes or anything else, it's all in good fun here. Respect to fighters, respect to all the commenters, respect to Bella.
It's
Respect
not
to
a joke when we're
out
talking
there.
about soccer, mum.
Yeah, soccer mom, we don't joke about though. So, enjoy the fights, everybody. We will be coming back with a video for for the Contender Series. It starts on June 18th. So that will be between this video and our next video, I believe. So it'll be a quicker video, probably closer to 20 minutes, but we'll find a way.
For anyone that does watch the Contender Series, if you listen to us for these.
How can you not watch? If you don't watch Contender Series, I'm taking that as a personal affront against me, which I don't blame you. So, anyway, everybody enjoy the fights. We appreciate the comments. We appreciate the views. We are looking to eventually get this onto some sort of podcasting platform so that we can get this onto other platforms, and we're looking to expand the video at some point here as well. So, either way, we appreciate everybody sticking around from 0 to 610. It is significant to us. So we appreciate each and every one of you and enjoy the fights. And I'm out.
Lovely. Appreciate you all, guys. Peace.